Even dogs who seem like they'll be by our side forever will pass away someday. The way they leave us can vary greatly. They may leave due to old age, illness, or accidents, but eventually they will depart from our side. While we can't prevent their departure, we can make the last moments of our beloved friend, our family member, a bit more comfortable or perhaps a bit more beautiful. Today, let's look at 7 criteria to assess the current quality of life of a dog that has reached the end of its life and now needs hospice care instead of treatment. These 7 criteria help us evaluate whether my dog's current state is just uncomfortable or in severe pain, and whether to continue with hospice care or consider euthanasia. For each of the 7 criteria, you'll score from 0 to 10, and if your dog's total life score is 30 or below out of a maximum of 70, it's considered to be in a state of pain. Not just discomfort, and you might need to consider more proactive measures like euthanasia to provide comfort. First, let's talk about pain. Can the pain be relieved? Alleviating pain in a dog suffering from severe pain is crucial for maintaining quality of life. Depending on the progression of the disease and the severity of the pain, it's essential to get appropriate painkillers prescribed by a veterinarian to manage the pain properly. You must carefully observe your dog's condition and continuously check for signs of pain. If the dog is almost pain-free and has good breathing, score it a 10. If the dog is lethargic, occasionally shows signs of pain, and breathes slightly heavily, give a score of about 5. If the dog is constantly screaming, trembling, breathing heavily, and struggling, score it a 0. Score between 0 and 10 based on these observations. Second is hunger. Is the dog maintaining its appetite and consuming enough energy? If a dog can't consume adequate energy, it will eventually weaken. Even if it takes time, you might need to feed the dog with a spoon or finger, or create small meatballs from wet food and push them deep into the side of the mouth. If the dog is willing and able to eat, provide as much food as it desires. If the dog has a good appetite and eats well, regardless of the food type, score it a 10. If the dog eats somewhat when offered tasty food or fed by hand, give it about a 5. If the dog refuses to eat anything for days, even when offered its favorite food, score it a 0. Third is hydration. Is the dog consuming enough water? If the dog, due to illness, cannot drink enough water on its own, you may need to bring water to its mouth or use a syringe to help it drink little by little. If a dog can't drink enough, it will suffer from dehydration, which can rapidly worsen its condition. Even if it requires force feeding, it's essential to ensure the dog gets enough water, using methods like subcutaneous fluids at home if necessary. If the dog drinks water well and urinates normally, score it a 10. If the dog drinks less, resulting in reduced urination and decreased skin elasticity, give it a 5. If the dog hardly drinks, leading to sunken eyes and almost no urination, score it a 0. Fourth, consider hygiene. If the dog can move to relieve itself, make using a pee pad as easy as possible by placing it close to the dog. If the dog is almost immobile, create a warm, soft bed and place a pee pad on it, changing it immediately when it gets dirty to keep the dog clean at all times. If the dog cannot urinate or defecate on its own, you may need to press the abdomen to help it urinate. You should receive training on how to press the bladder from your veterinarian. If the dog cannot maintain cleanliness on its own, use a tightly wrung towel dipped in warm water to frequently clean its face and body. If the dog is unable to move easily, frequently change its position to prevent bed sores. When scoring hygiene, if the dog's overall condition is very clean and does not smell, give it a 10. If there's a noticeable decline in hygiene and an odor, score it a 5. If bed sores have developed, causing discharge and a continuous bad smell, making the dog miserable, score it a 0. Fifth is happiness. Even if the dog can barely move, does it try to make eye contact with you or show interest in what's happening around it? Keep the dog's bed in a place where it can see family members, and even if it can't move well, show it toys or talk to it to ensure it doesn't feel lonely as a family member. If the dog enjoys spending time with you and plays with toys sociably, score it a 10. If it responds to stimuli around it and shows occasional signs of depression, give it a 5. If the dog shows no response to various stimuli around it and lies down in a corner appearing gloomy, score it a 0. Sixth is mobility. Can the dog move on its own or does it need help to move? If the dog struggles to stand in the bathroom, support its back with your hands or use a towel under its belly to make walking easier or use a walking harness. If the dog can move and walk freely without any hindrance to normal activities, score it a 10. If it can move to some extent but needs help with daily activities, give it a 5. If the dog cannot move at all and sometimes has seizures, score it a 0. Lastly, consider vitality. This is personally the most crucial criterion. Evaluate whether there are more good days than bad in a week. Initially, there might be more good days, but eventually, the bad days will outnumber the good ones. All dogs in their final stages will fluctuate between good and bad days, gradually declining. If the dog is energetic and can live a normal life every day of the week, score it a 10. If there are 3 to 5 days in a week when the dog appears not to have energy and struggles, score it a 5. If the dog lacks energy and cannot live a normal life every day of the week, score it a 0. Score your dog objectively between 0 and 10 for each criterion to get a total score out of 70. Based on this score, you can decide whether to continue treatment at home or consider euthanasia as a more proactive measure to alleviate pain. Today we discussed 7 criteria for assessing the quality of life of a dog.